it comes to Flacco, is this lightning in a bottle or something more, you think?
Oh, it's definitely something more. It's specific to this offense and the way that it's kind of wanted to be run with Kevin Stefanski. If you look at that chart that we just put up, the graphic, the person's named second was Kirk Cousins. The play caller for that year, I believe, was Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota. So, we have to sit there and say there's a reason why, and RC said this before, this is the best quarterback play they've had in 2 years. Okay, and one of the reasons is because this offense is the star. This offense doesn't need the quarterback to be the star. Joe Flacco is allowing the offense and the plays to be the star. He's 4-1 as their starter. His passer rating is 100 plus. He's got 13 touchdowns and 8 picks. It's the perfect situation for him. It's the same offense he ran when he was hot in Baltimore under Gary Kubiak. And if we have to be honest about the situation in Cleveland, why and how can a guy that has been, this is his best season in 5 years now as well. It wasn't like Joe Flacco balled in 2021 or something. Right. It's his best year right now in 5. How can he come from right off of the street essentially and within 5 or 6 weeks take this offense to the playoffs and because of the quarterback play attached with the defense and have its best performance at that position over the course of the last 2 years? Yeah. That's why this is not a lightning in the bottle. There is something that is tangibly there. Maybe it's not with a Joe Flacco specific, but there's definitely something when it comes to why does the offense look better significantly than it has over the course of 2 seasons.
I think what you said about the offense being the star is number one, right? When you have a Deshaun Watson or you have these guys with some of these unique talents, especially being able to use their legs, you start to mold your offense into what you think they can be, right, into what you think they are. Now Kevin Stefanski is doing what he really wants to do. It's the reason that Kirk Cousins is mentioned with the Cleveland Browns anytime Kirk Cousins becomes someone that could be on the trade block, because Kevin Stefanski doesn't need this dude that can go so far above the X's and O's. He needs somebody that can execute what he's asking. And that's what Joe Flacco has done at a higher level than any quarterback in the last 2 years for the Cleveland Browns. But here's also why I say it's lightning in the bottle. Okay. Because any other quarterback that we're expecting a certain thing from that has 8 interceptions in 4 games, one of those being a pick 6, 2 of those being a pick 6, Tremaine Edmonds with the Chicago Bears, obviously Jermaine Johnson last night, we start to say, well, that's not sustainable, right? Because then when we project that throughout the entire season, we're looking at a guy that has over 20 interceptions. Sure. Right? And so that's not the sort of play that we think is championship play. It also shows, though, that Joe Flacco playing with house money. Right? Joe Flacco was at his house. And not only just at his house, Joe Flacco was at his house because in given opportunities in New York, he didn't play this well. He didn't play well at all. He didn't even play well enough to say, okay, we should move on from Zach Wilson and allow Joe Flacco to be our starter throughout the rest of the season. What he's doing here is specific to this team and this time. It's specific to the Cleveland Browns being great defensively, the Cleveland Browns being really good in the run game. And I think the bigger thing I want to state about this being lightning in a bottle is that it's okay. It's okay that Joe Flacco may not be the quarterback of the future for the Cleveland Browns, or you may not have to make him the franchise going forward, because what he's doing right now and the feeling around this team is going to make this team the scariest out in all of the AFC. And that doesn't mean I think that they're better than the Baltimore Ravens, right? Because we're going to expect excellence from the Baltimore Ravens. What I think this means is that if you're the team that wins the East, whether it be the Miami Dolphins or the Buffalo Bills, you're scared when this team comes to town. Yeah. Right? If you're the team that wins the West, who will be the Kansas City Chiefs, you would be scared when this team came to town. If you're the team that win the AFC South, you for sure scared as hell if the Cleveland Browns come to your stadium.
Here's the thing I'm wondering, though, Dan, when you look at it, because obviously this offense was not running like this when Deshaun Watson was under center. But then last night, 3 of the offensive linemen gone. Amari Cooper just caught 300 yards passing. He was out. Right. No Nick Chubb, and yet he still throws for over 300 and leads him to another victory.
Part of that is because Kevin Stefanski, I believe, is wrapped up Coach of the Year as well. There was guys, DeMeco Ryans absolutely, and Shane Steichen in that conversation, Sean McVay. I think because of what has transpired over the past couple weeks. Part of that is because Kevin Stefanski has just wrapped up Coach of the Year, and that's one of the reasons why Joe is playing so well. I think your point of the house money is completely fair. I think that's why we see some of the throws that work out and some of the throws that don't. You know, because Joe has always been naturally very physically talented. He's always been a dude. You played against him a bunch. He could throw it.
Throw it a mile.
He could throw it, you know. And so you're watching a guy that doesn't have fear of consequence, partly because of the moment and the situation, partly because he knows that the defense is so great. I've always believed quarterbacks that play with great defenses, you could be a little bit more aggressive with the football because you know you're probably going to get bailed out. You don't have to be. This isn't 30 years ago when defenses were great and you'd sit there and go, as long as we protect the ball and we play good special teams, we can win.
Now it's like, let's go get it.
100%. Let's let the defense play with a lead. Here's my point when it comes to, like, there's something to this. If we're just being football on the field specific honest, with Kevin Stefanski, we've watched 3 quarterbacks play at a good to really good level in this offense over the last 6 years. Kirk Cousins is 1. Baker Mayfield is 2. Joe Flacco is 3. I don't think any of us are going to sit here and say those are 3 of the most physically talented players in the NFL at that position. But for some reason, the offense has been good under those 3 guys, significantly better than it's been under anybody else. So that's why I sit here and say, if you're Cleveland, you're sitting here going, we're watching all these other quarterbacks take this offense and play it at a pretty darn good clip. That's why I sit here and say there's something to that. Deshaun Watson, is he capable of playing in this offense at that level?
The thing about this offense,
haven't seen
the thing about this offense is don't miss. Right? When you look at what Joe Flacco is doing, when you look at a lot of these throws, some of these throws to David Njoku, he's butt booty wide open,
100%.
right? Just butt naked, right? But Joe Flacco isn't missing them. You think about pushing the football down the field to Amari Cooper. There's been an accuracy. There's been an accuracy and a chemistry between Joe Flacco and these receivers deep down the field that we hadn't seen. It comes with the experience of having been a guy that can make those throws, that has made those throws in big moments, and also knowing that right now they ain't taking me off the field anyway.
Good point.
Right? And so I believe that Joe Flacco is playing in a way, it reminds me of Nick Foles in this. When Nick Foles took over, it was, hey man, just go out there and be you, put the gas pedal down, and we do what we do. Right? And then next year when we saw him with the Bears, it was like, oh, they're counting on me. Oh, this is my job.
Not the same situation.
Yeah, I got to keep this job. This right here is for Joe Flacco, who was sitting at home, who wanted his kids an opportunity where they can understand what it looked like to watch daddy play football. They got a chance now that they didn't have, or they didn't think that they were going to have. Right? Your parents who once wore black and purple with the Baltimore Ravens now amongst the Cleveland Browns fans, and you are royalty there. Right? And I think that this is just such a moment for Joe Flacco, and he's embracing that. Like, that smile post-game isn't fake.
No doubt.
Right? Saying I feel like I'm 10 years old, that isn't fake, because this game gets so heavy. Right? And you don't realize what it's like to not have it until you don't have it. And for most of us, we don't get it back again. This guy is playing with the joy of having it back again.
He's saying that he feels like he's 10 years old, but he's really 38, and it showed last night. Do you remember after he threw for 300, he's sitting on the bench? Just take a look at this. he fell asleep. He's like, I just threw for 300 yards.
A lot of kids.
and he actually started nodding off.
Honestly, though, I said it in the tweet, though, like, once my workout gets a little long, I immediately get 44. Like, when it's
hold on, what you
serious? Look.
What you said this morning? You said Joe Flacco got old and a half.
Joe Flacco got old and a half, bro. It's late. This man been carpooling. Because I already know, when I retired and I got to be a part of the carpool, I'm beating every mama. Sally, got you. Right? Diane, you ain't got no chance.
You ain't getting first.
You ain't getting first. This man been doing carpool. You go to sleep early. You got my dog playing prime time, and I threw for 300 in the first half. I'm supposed to take a nap.
And he's been slinging it. This is just the 4th time in the Super Bowl era that the Browns have put up 35 points or more in consecutive games.
Who can't this team beat in the AFC? Realistically,
I think Baltimore is the team that scares you. Baltimore is the team that scares you.
Run it on them
because Baltimore can play football in the way that allows them to be more dominant against Cleveland's defense than I think other teams can.
Right.
Especially you watched Breece Hall last night too as well.
Had some success.
Like you could see had some success. But the Cleveland Browns are playing like a team. Like Juvenile had a song back in the day.
Come on.
He said, acting like a brother that ain't never had it.
Yeah.
Right? They ain't never had nothing. Like this group of individuals have never had the expectations of having to win.